Alright, welcome back to the Sonic Boom playthrough, and this is the part where I think the gameplay starts to actually get pretty good, because I thought the tutorial section was boring, and the hub world was not a very good first impression of a hub world in any game, let alone this. But the abandoned factory and the rest of the main stages in the game are pretty good.
Yeah, they're alright. Like, you know, again, I'm not gonna say that this is a masterpiece, but if you pick this up used, I think you'll have an alright time.
I will say, I love that line of Sonic going, "We have to tell the people lyrics out that there's like 4 people who live in this world." Who gives a shit?
Well, Cliff already knows we're halfway there.
I can give them a pass on not having many NPCs in the first hub world because it's the frickin' wilderness, but once you get to Bygone Island, it's just ridiculous.
There's like 3. I will say that, like, I know it's been said that the music for this game is kind of forgettable. I will say I do enjoy the main theme, what's playing now. I do think this is a pretty decent track.
Here's the thing about the music: it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
It's
all well composed. It's just it's generic. It's the kind of music you hear in this kind of game all the time, and it's not very Sonic-y at all.
Yeah. At the very least, they did get a. Did they have to get a full orchestra for this? It sounds like it. It's not like
it sounds good quality. I'll give it.
Yeah,
that.
It's not like really awful MIDIs that you still hear in console games for some reason today.
You're still hearing Sonic games, like some of the cutscene tracks in Lost World sound like that, you know?
Yeah, well, it's good to listen to while you're actually playing the game, but you're not going to remember most of it after the fact. And I think the Sonic series has so far spoiled us with either good music that you always remember after the fact, or bad music that you always remember after the fact because they played it too often in the menu screen.
Make Believe Reborn.
I like that song, Sharp.
I do too, but
it is overused. I will say, I know this is. I know that they were going for a new kind of a new world, and like it's for this spin-off series. And I'm like, you could have given us a guitar somewhere, you know. And let's be honest, right? I'm gonna say 75% of all of the negativity about this game would have been not there if they had just used the Crush 40 version of Sonic Boom as the title theme. Why is that nowhere in this? Why call this new sub-series Sonic Boom if you're not going to use that song anywhere?
Drop the ball.
Why?
Because the boom is what happens when Sonic punches you. Duh.
Or if the game fails.
But Sonic doesn't punch in this game, he kicks.
He kicks, he punches. Yeah, for once, we have an actual in-game justification for his Smash Brothers moveset, but
it's the wrong Sonic.
Hey, it's Sonic Boom. Hey, when else booms a bomb. Waka waka waka. Here's another $30.
If you want to play a good Sonic game with brawling mechanics, though, play as Sonic in Subspace Emissary, and it'll be better than this.
No. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'd rather play this than the Subspace. I would. I'm gonna say that right now.
So would I.
It's shorter.
Well, Subspace, like Sonic's moves, like he can do more with the combat, but
Okay.
We were commenting on the soundtrack earlier. The only 2 themes stick to my head. One was the theme that was playing when we were rescuing the miners earlier, and this theme, the abandoned facility.
So it caps here. Excellent.
I like the abandoned facility soundtrack.
Okay, just to give people a general hint about this particular enemy here. These snakes, when there are deactivated robots around, they'll activate robots if they get to them. But one homing attack can take out a snake in one shot. So always switch to Sonic and always just homing chain the fuckers. You'll feel more like you're playing a Sonic game, and it'll save you the trouble of fighting the bigger robots.
Yay!
Well, they are kind of annoying because it's hard to combo them.
I will be honest, though, I do like these quieter moments.
What were you saying, Clement? Quieter moments?
I was going to say, I was kind of surprised that the game has a lot more quieter platforming moments than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more combat heavy when I saw that there was combat in the game. And there certainly is a lot of combat, and especially in the last level with Lyric's Lair, you're just getting into fight after fight after fight. But stuff like this and the Sky Palace, where you have to like navigate the lasers to open the doors and stuff, there's a lot of like slower, like calmer places where you're not actually fighting anything and you're just platforming. And as a platformer guy, I don't hate these sections all that much. I actually really find these parts pretty soothing, pretty fun to play. The first time, just not on repeated playthroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree almost 100% with that.
Yeah.
I will say this kind of ratio of platforming to brawling, which I know that the comparison was going to come up. This is what I was expecting from the Werehog, because before that game came out, Sega were like going to give you lots of platforming with the Werehog, but there wasn't that much platforming.
No.
You mean like
Yeah.
twice?
Hey, you jump at least once per level as the Werehog. That's good enough in Sega's eyes.
But it also helps that when you actually do get into a fight, there's like a remix of the stage theme where it just picks up tempo and stuff.
No, Lewis, sometimes, because I swear there are times where it just doesn't change the music at all, and you'll have the calm, peaceful flute while you're beating the crap out of robots.
Again, Ted, it's coming up, but that's still the best thing about that cutscene with lyric ship attacks. It's like this nice little flute minute. Oh no, it's destroying the village.
It's World War III.
Well, yeah. The other thing that the platforming in this game, the basic mechanic isn't a bad mechanic. It controls vaguely like, well, every PlayStation 2 platformer that came out around that generation. And there's a lot of comparisons I can make to Rayman in 3D too, right? Like instead of flying, Tails has a helicopter hover, exactly like Rayman does. And then there are these specific walls and ceilings that you can climb around on, exactly like Rayman does. Like the mechanic could have been ripped straight out of the programming.
I will say, I know this is it's a sub-series, and for a while on Twitter I was that guy saying you can't expect it to play like a Sonic game, and that's fine. I will say though, the fact that Tails has that kind of little glide and doesn't fly, I was just like, I could have.
It's like instead of making Tails and Knuckles, they split Knuckles up into two characters and made one of them look like Tails.
Knuckles Jr.
Explain why you would be a good sidekick.
In fact, Tails even does that thing where he hovers over fans, which is what you did in the power formation in Sonic Heroes, with the triangle glide.
Yeah.
I didn't really mind characters not being one-to-one how they were in the original game, because different series.
Oh yeah.
I understand all that.
I mean, it didn't. I didn't ruin the game for me, but just like when I first got my hands on it, I kind of just assumed Tails would fly, because it's like in stuff like some of the TV trailers, you see him flying with his tail, so I just assumed he would, and like in the opening cutscene, you see him flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would think you can do that yourself.
Yeah. I mean, like Knuckles not gliding, I was fine with it, because that never really made any sense to begin with. Why Knuckles should glide, let's be honest. But yeah, Tails.
Speaking of changing characters, though, before we completely leave this section, I want to address something that first hit me in this particular area. You can't change characters while one of your characters is doing something that doesn't let them change characters, like hanging off a ceiling. The thing is, the AI is so rock stupid that if it clings to a ceiling as Knuckles or starts jumping on a spring, it won't get off the fucking ceiling or spring, and it'll keep doing that, and you'll be locked out of changing characters until you get to a place where you can respawn them.
Well, to be fair, if you're Amy and the AI is controlling Knuckles like that, then to me it's just being true to his character, because he's
But a lot of the exploration in these sections either assumes you're playing in co-op or requires you to go through both character sections to get all the goodies if you're trying to get them all along the same way, which you're going to see me do a fair bit during this playthrough.
Yeah, but it just the thing is that because the point of no return is so. It's not really clear. Like in a lot of games, it'll be pretty clear where that cutoff point is. Because of the way that the characters can get hung up, you sometimes don't get the chance to switch and then go through that character section, and which has made me miss a lot of chests and princess crowns and such.
Yeah. And that's a thing about this game's overall design that bugs me, is that these style platformers, when they were popular, they prided themselves on, a lot of open world design, at least in levels, but sometimes in terms of the entire game world. But this game plays like it's a set of locked out rooms where you're stuck in a smaller section of the level rather than the entire level being a big thing.
Yeah.
I would recommend switching between characters. You go through one section as one character, and then once you get to an enter beam section, like whatever you got to use an enter beam for, pulling a door open or anything like that, that's when you switch to the other character and explore his pathway, if you're going for all the collectibles.
that too, but a lot of the sections, what they'll do is they'll have this section where the characters split off into two different paths, but as soon as one character, at least if you're playing in single player, as soon as one character hits the end of their path, the other character respawns right next to them and can't get back onto their path at all. It happens, it's not a big thing in co-op, at least I assume it's not. I haven't had a chance to try
No,
it.
you pop in co-op too.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah. Dude, that was quite the experience when me and Elliot were recording co-op footage. I ended up not using most of it for my review, but it was there. Like, I was going through one part, and then Elliot just popped in right in front of me, and he was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, I was in the middle of climbing something. I was like, well, the game's saying you're not moving fast enough. Let's go.
Okay, I have a question about the co-op, just performance-wise. How bad is it? Because co-op...
Oh, Ted. Ted.
I saw like 3 seconds of it in your review, and the texture quality I could already tell was complete shit.
Yeah, the textures, lighting, frame rate, everything just gets worse, dude.
Does the resolution get worse on the main screen for some reason?
Everything gets... No, I don't think that badly, but...
You know, it's like that comparison I made where this game feels like it's a PC game that you turned all the quality dials down on because you're trying to play it on subpar hardware.
Yeah.
It looks like that's exactly what it is. Like, even from a development standpoint when you're playing co-op. Because I don't think this engine was made for this kind of thing.
Wait, it's not... apparently there was like a forum post which was apparently made by someone in the production. Apparently, you know, because they were using the CryEngine, which I believe is not really optimized for the Wii U. And so when during late in production they added the co-op section, apparently the CryEngine found it very hard to have the screen on the TV and the gamepad at the same time, which is why there's so much frame rate issues. Which so again, and then when it's powering 2 playable characters, that's why everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would have preferred not to have it. I mean, maybe not so much the co-op, but I would have preferred maybe if we're just playing one player to be able to turn up. And I believe, Lewis, you and I actually had a conversation about this on Twitter, and you're wrong, and I'm correct. So go to hell.
Well, having the map on the gamepad would have been infinitely more helpful, I think.
Yes, it would have. The amount of times I had to pause, go to the map menu to look.
We didn't really get into this, but because this happened in the last part. But the AWA system, that where you touch the button on the gamepad, is so utterly useless. You use it one time to get to this crack on the wall, and then after that, I have never used it ever again.
Well, they tell you to use it to find the shinies, but you can still see the footprints on the ground. They're just not bright white anymore.
I think my favorite explanation of that system, I believe it was Clement in his vlog. He said, and I quote, "You can be like Batman and use your spider sense." Good job, Clement.
I was more referring to the combat. That wasn't about the scanning stuff. But, like, no, I'm sorry, but ever since Batman Arkham Asylum, it was Spider Sense, and I'm going to keep calling it
Batman
Spider Sense
does not have Spider Sense.
Then he shouldn't have lines going above his head when enemies are going to attack
Clement,
him.
he has detective mode. They're entirely different.
He has Bat Sense.
Spider-Man 2 did it first. Sorry.
Oh, look, they gave me a weapon. It's a
the
tornado
weapons
gun.
are so pointless in this game.
They're so
I don't know why
pointless.
they were put in.
Absolutely pointless. I had no idea why they even bothered with these.
Well, you can pretend that Amy's decided that she's had enough of Sonic shit and joined the first Mobius marching band.
I thought this was a rocket launcher or a laser cannon the first time I picked it up. Imagine my surprise when a fucking tornado shot out of it. But these are basically like Smash Brothers items, except you rarely ever have a chance to take advantage of them. But when you do, they can fuck shit up.
That
the disadvantage is
bazooka's
you
carrying a
can't jump
tornado.
or dodge roll without dropping the item.
Oh, it's the goddamn gust bellows, of course. Ugh.
I said it was like a Smash Brothers item.
Yeah, but it's also the Smash Brothers item that's like the most broken one in Smash Wii U.
And it's the
3DS.
best weapon ever.
Oh no! The one there's the sword that shoots tornadoes, and then there's the gust billows, which fire off a continuous horizontal tornado that you can't get past without jumping clean over it, which isn't always possible if you're way off the side of the screen.
If I didn't find the weapons utterly pointless, I was also just utterly flabbergasted. What the hell was I using? Like, I think like later down the road we get a weapon that's kind of like a bitch slap, like a bitch slap gun, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I using? It's like what is this?
I think that's kind of the point, John.
But why? It's like, okay, whimsy.
With whimsy.
No, John. For me, the best weapon is the one that's just a bag full of rings. You're beating robots to death with money.
Okay,
Like, okay.
admittedly, I did find that humorous. Yes, I did like that one.
There's also a big red button.
See, Amy, I'd like to think that was a bit of self-referential. Like they're acknowledging the fact that this is getting boring. Amy's like, this is getting old now. Let's do something else, maybe.
It's the obligatory elevator section. Anything that even kind of resembles a beat 'em up has to have at least one.
Yeah, but CP, if you make fun of it, it makes it all better.
Yeah. Well, that's what the modern definition of irony seems to be. Which, God, guys, that's not actually irony.
Irony is not coincidence.
No, it's not irony. That's meta.
There's actually a lot of jokes like that
The
in this
use of
game.
words expressing something other than the literal intention. Now that's irony.
Unfortunately, I didn't notice this weapon bot here until all the enemies were done. So I have a giant tuba.
I told
and
you,
the
Amy
Saints
wants to join the first
come
Mobius
marching
marching
in.
band.
Oh, when the saints go marching in.
There are no enemies after this point, so if you picked up this weapon after that fight, it's completely useless.
I will say, can we just because we have them on screen? What did you guys? I think in terms of personality, Amy and Knuckles had the most, were changed the most. What do you guys think of their changes?
Starting out with Amy, I like her design actually more than her Canon series design, because her skirt and her bow-legged walk have always annoyed me.
No more panty shots.
Yeah, that alone makes this design more comfortable.
Apart from that, this redesign's awesome.
Yeah.
You goddamn pervert.
Her personality though has shifted so radically. It's like we have one hint from the show that she gives a damn about getting it on with Sonic, and that's it.
That's good though. That's good. I mean, she was always the most one note of the character. And to me, I like to view this as like, you know, at the end of SA1.
As Sonic Adventure 1, yeah, I've made the
Yeah.
comparison too. I can see her becoming this if they had actually gone with that character development line. Here it's just kind of a jarring shift. But I'm not saying I don't like it, but at the same time, all the characters in this game, they're portrayed with really one-note characteristics. Tails is the nerd. Knuckles is an idiot. Amy is the feminist. She even says girl power if you play as her on a speed section. It's kind of...
Oh yeah, I wouldn't class it. I would say, dude, honestly, Tails probably gets the least personality.
Yeah.
He gets the least, like, to do. Like, I mean, no one gets anything to do story-wise, but Tails gets the least out of all the characters.
Well, they give him a more extensive vocabulary. You know, like there was they give him more of like a smart-ass qualities and more of a sophisticated taste of culture. Like there's a scene in Shattered Crystal where Sonic and Tails are wondering, who's going to tell Styx the bad news that Amy's kidnapped, and they settle with rock paper scissors, but Tails insists that they battle it out in chess. You know, because he's
funny.
He's the geek. You know, but if I'm going to compare Tails to Boom Tails and regular Tails, I think it's pretty much the same character. It's just that one says a lot of fluffy words.
Well, you know what I like? You know what I like about Boom? I mean, obviously they had to do it for the gameplay, but I like that Tails gets involved in the combat now. Because for the past few games, like, it always kind of bugged me in the cutscene in Lost World when the Deadly Six rise up against Eggman. Like Tails just kind of hiding behind a rock. I was like, come on, like, and this is the same Tails who took down the Egg Walker single-handedly, you know, like, I dislike it when they make Tails out to be kind of a wimp, and they kind of, so that's why I kind of like Boom Tails. Except for in the cartoon where he uses a picture of a unicorn to take out a robot, I'm like, nah.
Well, that's the cartoon. It has, the game and the cartoon have radically different tones. I was surprised.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of one-note characters, Sonic, his personality in this is far less, in-game Sonic from what we've seen in Sonic Team's games, and more like the cartoons, where he's a complete egotist. You know what I'm saying?
To be fair, since Colors, they've kind of brought that back in the games.
Well, they have, but not to this degree, where he's like outright just minimalizing the credit he gives to his teammates and being obnoxious about it. It reminds me of Jalea White more than anything.
Well, it's weird because they in slight spoiler alert, but in Rise of Lyric they kind of give Sonic an arc. It's very slight, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it entirely. But there is a point at the end when like Sonic's, you know, he kind of
he acknowledges
kind
his
of
teammates
acknowledges
more.
they're a team, which is funny because at the end of Shattered Crystal ends with Sonic and Knuckles arguing over what the name of their team should be, Team Sonic or Team Knuckles. So I like the fact that there isn't even like any like continuity. Yeah, it's just like okay, like good job, Team Sonic, Team Knuckles, Team Sonic, Team Knuckles, Team Sonic.
Yeah, but you know, Knuckles says, "Good job, Team Sonic" at the end of this game too, and then Sonic says, "How about just team?"
Well, yeah, it's weird that Knuckles is like he's kind of like the cheese. Whenever you have Knuckles on your side, he praises you the most of any character.
Good job, Sonic.
Like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
It's funny because that happened after I released Lyric. Knuckles is blaming Sonic for releasing Lyric, and then we're fighting robots, and right after he's like, way to go, Sonic, he's like, yeah, you beat him up, way to go, buddy. I'm like...
I will say there's one line that tonally I didn't care for. This is a very small thing. It goes when you're in the underground cavern when it's just Amy and Knuckles. Sorry, Amy and Sonic. There's a few times when Amy will go nice kill Sonic, and just for me, I'm like, I know they're robots and they're godless abominations with no souls, but
he's right.
Unless he is a mystical Black Knight, Sonic should not be murdering anyone.
But if they're a Black Knight, it's totally okay.
If they're a Black Knight, then fucking it really. That always bugged me because the Black Knight's technically gold, but whatever. Like I'm fine with that, but you know, snake robots should not be murdered against their will.
Yeah, one thing that sticks out to me in this game is that they use a lot more, you know, modern turns of phrase as opposed to what we're used to hearing from Sonic, which is more in the line of the '90s, I guess. But you know, Knuckles even says, "Come at me, bro," at one point.
Oh! Yeah, I thought that's pretty cringy.
There was a moment in Shattered Crystal where Sonic asks if Amy was taking selfies, and I know the internet was like, nope, no.
But can I ask, were we supposed to, at some point in the story, get that Sonic was a bit of a loner?
No, I think it was just kind of an asshole is more the thing.
Really? I didn't get that. You know, I found all those times where, and I think it's like 2 or 3 times max in the entire game, where Sonic is having this banter between Knuckles or Amy. I just thought that was like fun little jabs at each other. Not so much that, no, Sonic really does have a problem and he needs to learn the value of friendship and teamwork. But
it's not exactly a huge problem. It's more like he just has an egotistic bent, but he's still friendly with everyone and he still cares. But he could just be a bit of a douchebag sometimes.
We skipped over this at the beginning, but the whole reason why he ended up freeing Lyric in the first place is that he didn't trust his friends enough to be able to take care of those robots, which is more the sort of
Which,
thing.
you know, he could have gone down and helped them out, but no one ever.
I just took that as he's just looking out for his teammates.
Well, it's just more like they're like, we can take them, but he doesn't have enough confidence in them, I think. He thinks he's better than them, I think is more the thing that they're going for.
Guys, I just want to quickly interject. If you go back into that cutscene when Amy punches Knuckles, she clearly misses him. There's a clear gap between her fist and his arm.
Well, cutscenes in games tend to do that just to avoid clipping issues sometimes. So you're not meant to notice it. Once you see it, you can't really unsee it. But at the same time, it's not as bad as the alternative.
Oh wait, we completely forgot to talk about the Red Echidna irrelevant line. I just haven't been paying attention to what's going on the screen.
that made me chuckle.
Well, it pretty much sums up its entire existence the last 10 years in the franchise.
And we'll talk more about Knuckles in Part 4.
Or we could ignore him.
Clement's telling us to shut the fuck up. Let's go.
Silence, the great one has spoken.
We have so much more to go.
Yeah, we really do.